Hi, in this video I'm gonna try to explain L values and R values and yeah, just what they are and how to distinguish between them and understand their behavior. So an L value is basically kind of what you're used to, so it's just a variable that has a name and some storage in memory, and an R value sometimes is stored in memory, but it's more like of a temporary value, let's say. And the advantage of that is that if you're doing stuff with R values, you can avoid a lot of copying of objects, like deep copying of objects in your programs, and it just helps to understand where you can avoid a lot of copies and where the compiler like helps you to avoid copies in your code, which can make it quite a bit more efficient and in some cases just a bit clearer of what part of the code owns what, basically. So let's say here I have a little class bar which just prints something when its constructor is called and something when its destructor is called. I have a function that takes in a bar, and I allocate a bar in my main, and I have a little markers to mark the start of the scope of main and the end of the scope of main. And so basically what happens here, you can probably guess it. The scope is started, then bar is allocated, so the constructor is called, the scope is finished, and so all the destructors of all of our local variables are called, so bar, destructor of bar is called. And so here I have a function which takes in a reference to bar, and so if I call func with b, what you can probably expect this, like you just print the thing. And so now the question is, what happens if instead of passing a variable to my function, I pass in bar like so directly? Let's call it bar2. So this will be a compile error because this function expects an R value, an L value, so basically a thing that has an identifier, since it's a reference. But here, this bar here doesn't have a name associated with it, and so it's an R value. And you can see where this concept of temporary comes from, where since this thing doesn't have a name, it needs to be used or stored somewhere, and something needs to take ownership of it. And so what you can do is create an overload and create an overload that takes an R value reference. And so this is the notation for it. You just put 2 ampersands, and it's not the logical AND, it's an R value reference. Let's put 2 ampersand here. And you can see that now the func is called with bar ampersand ampersand. And what I kind of want to demonstrate is that if I call my func with b, like so, we can see here that the constructor is called, the function is called, and so this print is the last thing that happens in the scope. So the function scope is exited, like we could add the exit function scope, like so, or just like so, exit scope. Up. So bar is constructed, then the func is called, and we exit the scope. Then we exit the scope of main, and then the object is destructed. If we take the R value case instead, we will see that func, this is refreshed. We will see that func kind of takes ownership of bar. And so the scope of main starts, bar, the constructor of bar is called, and then it's passed to the function. The function exits scopes, and as soon as the function exits scopes, the destructor is called, not at the end of main. So that's the big difference between the two. And so yeah, as I said, it's very useful if you need to avoid copies and so on. And historically, lvalues and rvalues kind of meant like on the left side of the equal operator and on the right side of the equal operator. So in the case, if I say like int a is equal to 42, something like that, a would be the L value and 42 would be the R value. But yeah, since C++ introduced a lot of complex things, they kind of generalized it, and now the meaning is a bit more fuzzy because this is actually like this could be put like as a literal in a CPU instruction, but of course bar here has to be allocated somewhere on the stack, but it's still temporary, and so they had to a bit of a mishmash of notions there. So yeah, this is kind of all I have to say with L values and R values as an introduction. Maybe it's not super clear why it's useful for now, but yeah, basically you can avoid a lot of copying with them. So yeah, but I'll make some other videos about them, and I hope this explanation was as simple as possible, and you still learned something. But yeah, see you in the next one.